Okay. Hello, everybody. Um, yeah. Normally, I do this kind of speech in German, so it's my first time in English. And normally, oh, okay. So some support here. For me, it's important to be, especially in that topic, not so fast. So let's see if it's working. First of all, a short introduction of myself. Um, I am working now since 20 years in IT tech companies, and I had several companies by myself. And right now I founded a company in Malta for accompanying people, organizations, and technologies through these very fast times. And that's all for first. We are here to talk about spirituality and the connection between AI, crypto, and spirituality. At the end, well, I'm curious to see if it's worked out. Maybe a few words about myself. When I was a small kid, um, I was born into a very spiritual and artistic family, and I asked myself, what happens if the sun just get lost in the universe? The sun is so important for us, and I think I was 7 years old. I draw a solution for this, an artificial sun, which we connect to the earth. So for me, connecting these two metals was always very important. But the technological part was very strong. So my father bought me a Commodore 64 when I was 9 years old. And this is how it looks like when your father is an artist and sees you as a geek. That was how he paints you there. And I was very much into this technological stuff until I discovered as a young man philosophy for me. I never studied it. It's just a personal interest. And I become some kind of atheist. My intention was to kill God with my mind. And then something happened. Since we came from Iran and Iran was war, my mom said, let's do some therapy for you. You came from the war. Maybe you need some healing. And I did a family constellation, so it's called in German. I cannot go much deeper into it right now, but you place people in a room and you try to find solutions for trauma. And when I was 20 years old and discovered this, something happened inside me, because I was in the role of somebody who I didn't know. I never saw him. I saw him the first time in this constellation. And I started to feel something which I shouldn't know. And I connected somehow to his past. And I felt I had an inner impression of what's going on inside him without knowing his biography. And this opened me somehow. And I tried to come over this atheist thing. And I'm not trying to convince you for something. This is just my story, how it began. And, well, I was in a magazine, as you can see. I had a quite successful company in Germany. We started as a tech pioneer with graph database and pre-AI technology. And it was one of the best times of my life, because we just sit in a conference room for weeks trying to find solutions. And it's not comparable to right now, where you have ChatGPT or whatever. It was 7 or 10 years ago. Actually, one of our core products, the first lines of code were written here on Malta. That's how I got connected to Malta. And when we dive very deep into the matter, and this is a visualization of a database we were working on. We tried to understand more and more because we wanted to make it AI ready, so it has to be very pure. And it turned out that the more we dived into the matter, how we make a database picture of things, everything started to concentrate on one point. And all the people in the room become some magical vibes. And everybody was looking at each other, what's going on? And all of these were inspirations for me to at least think that it's possible, that it's more than technology, and it's more than profit, or more than being fast. So, when we talk about spirituality, maybe it's important to just mention what I understand under my spirituality, because everybody has something else in mind, maybe. And for me, spirituality is presence. So, just feel myself and be connected with myself. So, it's not necessarily a religion or a concept, it's just the connection with me. So, when you do a presentation, it's quite hard to feel that. But, well, that's how I understand it. And for me, it's also some kind of superpower, a hidden superpower. Because, especially in business, people are so fast and they are trained to be so efficient. And being able to perceive, to receive what's going on beside the superficial stuff and feel the connection, even in business meetings. I try it often with myself hidden because most people don't want to talk about that. Or at least I fear to lose the project if I talk too much about that. But even right now, when we are here, we are connected in some way, and we form a field of consciousness together, and we are focused on something. And this is what I understand under spirituality. So, just the question, is there more? And is it possible that there is some other kind of connection that we experience in all-day routines? Krishnamurti is, maybe some of you know, is a very famous Indian guy who, when he was born, the intention of him from his parents was that he becomes a world teacher. But he refused this. His aim was just to talk to people and groups. And he said a lot of cool things, but one thing he said, it's no measure of health to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. So I don't think that society is sick at all. But for him, it was very important that you experience your own truth and you question your pressure for functionality. And it's a very pleasure to hear his speeches. So if you have time on YouTube, just Google him. And he speaks a very interesting language. And he said that truth is a pathless land. So there are no concepts you follow. It's something that you discover inside you. And nowadays this is very important because our autonomous nervous system is a result of millions of years of evolution. It was made for avoiding danger, for example, wild animals or storms. So when disruptive technology is in our life and things go so fast, we subconsciously dig out these old concepts for these new problems we have. But the problem is that nowadays what is going on is too complex for a nervous system which is from the past. The patterns it has is to flee, so whenever you encounter danger, to flee, to fight, or to freeze, or collapse. And the tricky thing about it is that normally when this happens in the all-day business, you don't recognize it. It happens subconsciously. So for me, this is where spirituality and the connection with you kicks in. It's the awareness and the connection with yourself. All of these fast things going on with you and disruptive things. Nobody knows what AI is going to do with our world in 3 years or in 5 years. So everybody's doing his life, and it's okay. We have to live. We have our projects, whatever. But I'm sure in pretty every one of you, there is this silent process going on, maybe subconsciously, what's going to happen to the world. And this makes something with you. Normally, my perception of this is when I consult companies, that companies subconsciously avoid these new things. Avoidance is a strategy, but the problem of avoidance is when you avoid it, then somebody else is going to do it for you. So that's what happened right now. I don't want to tell you to be stop. It's just having an awareness about it. Because when we as a collective avoid things because they are overwhelming, then the power is concentrated in the hands of a few. And after a few years, we wake up and ask ourselves, how could this happen? And the best example you all have in your pockets. I'm a guy of the first hours of the internet, at least in my town. And we were very, very sensitive about what Microsoft leaches from your computer. And every bit was analyzed. Okay, what's this? What are they going to do with your information? And somehow we got broken. Because right now, 50 smartphones are listening to us, now where we are. We gave up. You know? We gave up because we were overwhelmed by the fast technology and we saw the convenience, like the mice who sees the cheese in the trap. And so we have the situation right now and we somehow accepted it. But I'm sure if we would have looked at it more conscious 20, 30 years ago, if it would be in a more conscious, connected way as a society, if we would know that we are connected to each other and we have a voice, then maybe the one or the other thing would have turned another way. I don't know. I want to quote another philosopher, Martin Heidegger. I love German philosophers. I'm a German engineer. I love German language. And Martin Heidegger has some dark spots in his history because of the Nazi regime, but his philosophy is very unique, my taste. He was a very introverted guy, no jokes, but in the same time, for him it was very important to teach as a professor his philosophy. And he did something which is very important in my opinion for what is going on right now in society. He made up a lot of philosophical thoughts about technology. And he said technology is not a merely instrument. We experience life through technology. It's not just something we buy, we use, or whatever, we drive. It is somehow a way to the world. And in the same way, we are forming technology. And in this dynamic, there is a danger. Actually, I don't want to talk about so much dangers, but that's maybe the best way to describe it. Because the question is technology a product of you? Or are you a product of technology? So this was one of his main things. And to describe the different ways technology can be seen, he used Aristotle. The four causes, some people might know who are into philosophy, maybe not. And the four causes, it's something somebody thought about it 2,000 years ago. How comes a thing into its form? And Aristotle defined four ways. What it is made of, what it is intention, who was the creator, what's its shape. And what Heidegger said is that we only see a one-dimensional view on technology. It's just there, it was produced, so I can buy it, for example. But there are many other perspectives involved how one thing evolves. So Heidegger said it's about to reveal what's the real core of technology. So let's do it with Bitcoin. Bitcoin is made of information and code. This is something I made up myself. Maybe you have other opinions, but I think practically we come to the same result. Its form is the blockchain. And the creators are we, the network. We created the miners, the people who use it. And finally, the intention of Bitcoin was, and you say it every time, was to decentralize money. What is Bitcoin used for mainly right now? I don't know. I myself also see in Bitcoin sometimes the opportunity to gain quick money. Actually, I did. 15 years ago, I had a lot of miners or whatever. But let's go back to these 2 points. We are making Bitcoin. And its intention is to decentralize the power. So, in my view, Bitcoin is spiritual money. Because its intention was to weave a network among us, to give us the power and decentralize, give everybody a little bit of its power. So that's why I think Bitcoin has a spiritual background. At least I like to see at Bitcoin like that. Because again, we are not a result of technology. Technology is a result of us. And the way we see things, it's the way how we make things. The same or something similar with AI. For me, a very spiritual question is, what happens to our egos when the machine does it better than us? We know AI is going to at least change or maybe take away a lot of workspaces, change companies. But what remains of us? And from a therapeutic view, I'm not a therapist, I accompany people a little bit, but my main field of work is technology and organization. But what remains from us? So when people see danger to lose something, what they think they are this, they do everything to avoid it. Many years it was said that mankind is the smarter thing on earth. Now the machine in some way is smarter than us. So who's on top? Are we going to be the second in the world in some way? I don't have answers, but I think that this dynamic makes us to avoid AI. And that's the worst thing what happens, in my opinion, when such very important things fade into absence because we are afraid of it on a subconscious way. Okay, one last philosopher. I love Nietzsche. Did anyone heard or read Zarathustra? Oh, yeah, this is good. It's, you won't believe me. It's a pleasure. You can hear it as a audiobook. Yeah, it's very well spoken, and it's very nice. It's so dramatic and poetic. He's a contrast to other philosophers, and one of his thoughts was the camel, the lion, and the kid. And one of the sentences I love most from him was, man must perish through his virtues. So this refers to the camel. In his metaphor, the camel bear the burden of learning the past. So all of these egos and concepts we carry in us and we produce, we have as a load on our back. And the camel travels through the desert because he is specialized in carrying big loads and suffering. This is what he wanted to say. And at some point, the camel doesn't want it anymore and turns into a lion. And the lion has the courage to challenge convention. He's a fighter. And also he's a little bit stubborn. He fights all the you should this, you should that. And after he fought everything, he lies under a palm tree in the desert, an oasis. And he becomes a little bit bored of fighting. And he turns into a child. And the child, in the view of Nietzsche, symbolizes the pure creation. Forget the past. Forget all this burden. Forget, just let go the concept. And create from scratch. And this creation from scratch, this is what, in my opinion, is creation from you. See yourself as the center of creation. So the promise was that something happens today with this. And what is it then? I think, no, I want to ask you something. Without any boundaries or obligations, if you could fully freely imagine what's going to be the future with AI in your inner world, what future do you want to see on Earth with AI?
Hard to say. When I was young, I was thinking internet will give us a better world, sharing knowledge across boundaries with no border, no language barrier. What we have today doesn't look too good either. So.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Before we give answers, something before the answer is important to me. When you let this question happen inside you, for me it's interesting, what happens inside you? What do you feel? And there is no answer necessary right now. But I think I feel something. And I think that this is you. So, allowing yourself. And that's somehow a small answer to this big question. I think when we allow ourselves to have a vision of the best AI, of the best crypto, this is a precipice to create the best AI and crypto, just by at least allowing us to have this connection to which vision is inside of us. So somehow the question follows, leads to you. I think the answer is you. And well, it's not a mathematical correct equation, but spirit plus AI plus crypto has something to do with you. And if you manage to somehow feel these questions and turn that quotation tonight, then this is much more than I wanted to achieve right now. Yeah. Okay. That was the speech. Thank you very much.
We are a crypto-native community that aims to learn and share knowledge together. Join us at Soho, The Strand, every Wednesday to dive into our questions section live.